It's the Sittin Sportside podcast, exclusively on 1045theteam.com.
Yes, it is the last edition of preseason podcasts of Sittin Sportside. Not the last edition ever, but the last preview podcast of MLB season that we will be doing on the Sittin Sportside podcast on 1045theteam.com. A special presentation, though, because we are going to be joined in just a second by a guy who has not made an appearance on the podcast in a very, very long time, and we've been promising his MLB predictions. And of course, you'll love to hear from him. But real quick, I just want to say that all the podcasts, so all the division podcasts that I've done, fantasy podcasts, if you still haven't done your draft by some reason and you're drafting this weekend, maybe like some leagues do, you can find them all on youtube.com/team1045. Click on the Sittin Sportside podcast tab. There's also a blog out there from Gaz of the whole station notes. I believe it's Levac, Gaz, and Bryce's predictions are on there as well. I don't know if mine are on there yet, but I believe I submitted them, but you'll get them right here if you're listening to this. And that being said, I have been promising on every single podcast that the final podcast would be done on the day the season starts, and I would be doing this with Mike James. It'd be the Mike James-centric MLB preview podcast. And as if you've been listening to the podcast, you've kind of realized, Mike has not been around recently due to unforeseen circumstances. But it doesn't mean phones don't work. And on the line to give us his preview of the MLB season is Mike James. Mike, it's great to have you back on the podcast, even if you aren't going to be able to be here in person.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, I've been trying to do these division podcasts. I've got them done. We're ready to go. And if anyone listened to them, if one person listened to them, it was all worth it.
Yeah.
But
hey,
I think
they might win their fantasy league because of you.
Fantasy league. They might, go to. You hear people were going to on 2,000 to 1 odds. We're going to Vegas and really putting in $50 bets to win the World Series.
Seriously?
They're 2,000 to 1, and I guess these guys were like, you know what? What the heck? Let's go for it. Even though the team had 47 wins last season, but I guess it doesn't. You can't really blame somebody if they spend $2 on a $2,000 bid, and for some miracle they win the World Series. That's $4,000, but that's just a waste of money because there's absolutely no way that the Orioles are winning, right?
If the Orioles win the World Series, I will go streaking down Central Avenue.
There's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way.
No way.
All right. So this is the most anticipated, I think, because I think people are kind of tired of hearing my opinion. I'm still going to give my opinion on this podcast, but I'm going to, I'm losing. See, I've been talking so much about this stuff. I'm losing the word, but delegate or let you talk on a lot of these things. We're going to go from division. I haven't given, so to give you what I've given, Mike, because obviously you've been too busy or too preoccupied to listen to any of my podcasts, but I haven't given my
crazy last week and a half.
I haven't given my wild cards yet. I haven't given my playoff predictions. I haven't given my MVP, Cy Youngs, or Rookie of the Years. So I'm going to start with you, and you just go through every division and give me your division winners. Maybe say a reason why or however you want to go about it, and then we'll move forward to the things I haven't said yet. So the floor is yours, Mike James. Who do you have winning each division? We'll start with the American League East.
The American League East, of course, I have to go with the Yankees. Being a Yankee fan, Boston will be tough. Tampa Bay will rebound a little bit, but I think the Yankees rebound in a big way this year. They're going to win at least 100 games, and I think they might win this division by 6 games, crush the division. I'm going to go out on a limb here, too, and say Judge wins the MVP.
All right, we're already going there. MVP,
yeah. Cat's
out of the bag. Mike James has Aaron Judge.
276, 54 home runs, 167 RBIs.
That's insane, Mike. I saw you submit that to me, and 167 RBIs. That would be crazy.
I'm foreseeing a big year. They're going to wake up. Bats are going to wake up, and he's going to.
You're just so that's a product of the Yankees just being a good lineup, because that's a crazy. I mean, 130 RBIs would be a good year. That's 167. This is like your Jared Goff prediction. I love it because it's the Yankees, but I don't see it happening.
Am I saying it's likely? No, but I figured I'd go out on a limb with it.
I love it. All right.
The Central, I think the Twins come back and win the division. The Central's never been the strongest.
Are you saying that they're Are you saying they're going to get down in the division early on and then come back and win it, or you mean like because they were good a couple seasons ago?
I think they have a chance to go all the way. I'm not saying they're going to come out on top right
Gotcha,
away,
right.
but I think they'll be in contention all year, and I think they can win it. I mean, that division's weak, and the Indians are clearly hurting right now out of everybody in that division.
They are, yeah.
I don't know about Chicago. They're a question mark. Who else am I forgetting in that division?
I mean, exactly.
Kansas City's down.
Kansas City and Detroit are not good.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can easily win it. The West, I think the Astros run away with it again. I mean, the Astros. They're dominant, and they should. I actually picked Verlander as my Cy Young this year.
You're letting the cat out of the bag here for Ellis. We're not even going through them together. But, the Astros are really, really good. Let's go to the National League. Let's go to the East. Let's not do the wild card teams yet. Let's go to the National League East. Who do you have winning that division?
I'm going to take the Braves. I think it's going to be a tough division. I don't really like the Nationals since they lost Harper. I don't trust the Mets. The Marlins clearly should run away with this division. But I think the Braves. I think it's the Braves' division to lose. I mean, we'll see. It'll be tough. There's no doubt. The Phillies will be there. I think the Braves overcome everything and win the division.
And then the Central, it's also really tough to pick the Central. Who are you leaning towards there?
I would take the Cubbies. Chris Bryant and the Cubbies. Cubs are tough. They got a good young lineup. Rizzo. Rizzo is going to be good this year. My biggest question mark, though, is the Cardinals. I mean, that pickup of Goldschmidt, I think, will be huge.
Yeah, don't go there yet.
Yeah, I think Goldschmidt going to the Cardinals is huge. That might put them right back into the division.
For sure. And last but not least, the National League West, the Dodgers have won this, 5 or 6 years in a row?
I think they win it again. I don't see anybody that can overtake them in that division, honestly. I mean,
yep.
Giants will be better. I just don't think they're good enough.
No, they're not. They're not.
They'll be better.
It stinks.
Arizona's still a question mark.
Bochy in his last year. It'd be nice to see him, smell the playoffs at least, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Padres are improving, but they're not good enough.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the Rockies and the Padres, and I think the Rockies I'll give the edge to the Rockies. I actually think the pitching's better for the Rockies, as crazy as that sounds, even though they have to pitch in Colorado most of the time, half of the year. But I think the Padres pitching, while it's good, they have good young pitchers. I just don't know if it's deep enough for them to make a run.
Yeah, I think so I guess the Braves, Cubs, Dodgers, and the National League, Yankees, Twins, Astros, and the American League.
All right, so I had the Indians instead of the Twins, and I had the Nationals instead of the Braves. So we're 4 out of 6 the same. I think that speaks to the fact that in the American League, it really comes down to 3 or 4 teams there. So I think for both of us, we have the wild cards. We have the Red Sox as one of our wild cards.
Yes, I have the Red Sox, and I have the Angels actually in the other wild cards.
So your second wild cards are both shockers to me, and not that picking the Angels is a shocker, because anytime Mike Trout's on a team, I understand why anyone would pick them to be where they are. But before we get to your shocker in the National League, which I would love to talk to you about, the Angels, let's talk through it for a second. The problem with this team has never really been the offense and Mike Trout. Now, Trout's missed some time. It's been the pitching. I just don't see it with the Angels. I have the Rays. I think the Rays have really good pitching, and they're innovative, and I think their lineup actually kind of goes toe-to-toe with the Angels lineup, surprisingly. I think Tommy Pham is really underrated there. I think people are going to underestimate that defense or that lineup. Plus, they were a 90-plus win team last year and might have made the playoffs had it been a week. I think Buster said it on Levac and Guys that if there was one more week, the Rays might have made the playoffs over the A's. So they're a really good team, and I like them. Why do you like the Angels, and does that pitching rotation kind of make you weary about the pick?
I just think, I don't know, it's tough. I mean, the Rays definitely have a chance at making it, but I just think the Angels are going to rebound this year. They'll be better. And I think that second wild card is open enough that they have a chance to make it.
The good news is they have Cody Allen and Ty Buttrey, who are at the back of their bullpen. I know Cody Allen was not great for the Indians last year, but to have a set closer who might be able to get the job done compared to what they've had in the past, that'll be good. But I think with Heaney's injury and Tyler Skaggs not being anything special and having his own injury problems, I've stayed away because of the rotation. But I like the boldness of the pick. You're not the only one. I believe Levac has the Angels in the playoffs too. But before we get to the rest of our playoff picks, you already caught up the Cardinals, so I know why you have them as one of your wild cards. But you have another NL Central team, and it's not the Brewers. Who is it and why?
You know what? I actually changed my mind on this after.
Okay, all right. Good.
I originally picked the Pirates.
Yes, that's the.
But I'm not even going to go to the NL Central anymore. I'm going to go to the East. I think Mets fans rejoice.
Whoa!
I think your New York Metropolitans make the playoffs.
Wow. So I went here, Mike. I went Cardinals as well. We're very simpatico there. I love the Goldschmidt addition as well. I think you add him, your outfield is absolutely crowded, which is a really good thing with Harrison Bader, Marcell Ozuna, Dexter Fowler, Tyler O'Neill, and Jose Martinez, who's not great defensively, but he's also got to put out there. I think the rotation, while Carlos Martinez is out, the fact that he's going to be able to come back and you still have Alex Reyes and Jordan Hicks at the end of that bullpen, I just think that there's a lot of good things going on with the Cardinals, and the Goldschmidt thing just put them over the top for me.
Definitely. He's actually my MVP pick this year.
And they locked him down too. Like he was a guy that was like, I'm gonna play it by ear. I'm gonna let this season happen. Let me test the free agency next year. Like I believe that's what he said when he initially got traded. And before, I know we're in the off season of extensions, in the spring training of extensions. But I was kind of shocked to see him lock up because this was a guy a lot of people thought was gonna hit the open market next year.
I'm surprised he didn't. Honestly, I think he's arguably. Is he? Can you argue that he's the most underrated first baseman?
I think that he hasn't gotten. He's never won an MVP. I stand by that he should have beaten McCutchen in 2013, I believe. Nothing against McCutchen's season. I just thought he had better numbers. So yeah, I think the fact of the matter is like he was like kind of snuck away on a bad Diamondbacks team for a while, and even when they were good, they never really got the hype that they deserved. I believe they lost the one-game playoff. Or did they beat the Rockies? I think they might have beaten the Rockies, but still, they were just never really got the run, the notoriety. And so, yeah, I agree with you that he's probably the most unappreciated first baseman. I think Joey Votto has gotten more. I think he's underappreciated what Votto has done over the years, but I think he's had more notoriety because of the MVP.
Yeah, but I definitely think Goldschmidt's deserving. He's going to have a big year, and I think he gets his MVP finally in St. Louis.
And so you went with the Mets. Yeah, I went my two wildcard teams. I also went with the Cardinals. I went with the Rockies. The reason I picked the Rockies is because they made it the last two seasons. They have a really good lineup still, and their pitching, I think, is actually underrated. The best it's probably ever been for that team. And they play in the division that has the worst. Like the same reason why some people might have the Twins in the playoffs, and I know I don't. But the fact that they're going to be able to beat up against the bad teams like the Giants. Like the bad teams, the Giants, maybe even the Padres. I like them a little bit better than some people this year. They're going to be tougher out, but obviously there's the Diamondbacks too. I don't think they're going to be good at all this year. So I look at them and I say this is a division where they can beat up on the bad teams. While you look at the Mets in that division, and while I could see two or three teams coming out of the East, no doubt about it, I just felt like the competition there might keep a couple of teams out. It's not necessarily the case all the time. But I just feel like the Rockies are actually a really good team. They get more games against bad opponents, so to speak, as opposed to having to play the Nationals, Braves, and Phillies throughout the entire year. That's why I kind of and then the other teams are going to have to face. That's why I went away from multiple Central or East teams. But I could easily see that happening too. I
just think that both second wild cards. Both leagues are so wide open. I can see anybody winning the American League. I can see anybody winning the National League. It's kind of like it was a coin toss for me. Basically, between the three division winners, the team I think can definitely make the wild card, and then those first four were cake. Not what I mean, not cake, but then taking that fifth wild card was like, all right, now it's so dark here. Who do I think can win? Looking at the rosters, and I almost put the Marlins as a second wild card actually.
No way.
That was a joke.
Yeah. Can I just let me just run something by you here, okay? So you and I are kind of on the same page in some aspects here. We don't have all the same teams, but there's this one team that we both left out that I'm looking at the picks that were made by Levac, Gaz, and Bryce on our website, 1045theteam.com. And they all have and of course, Bryce is going to have them in there. I mean, he has them in the World Series. But they all have Philly in the playoffs after their big offseason. We both don't. I have the Nationals winning the division with the Braves coming in second. You have the Braves and then the Mets coming in second. So what is it about Philly that you're backing off on?
I don't know. Put it this way: they have no excuse not to win that division, but I just don't know how if that lineup's going to gel fast enough.
Yeah, I'm concerned, and I said this about the Padres, but and the Angels, and I think their pitching's better, but Jake Arrieta was not good last year. And I know Nick Pivetta and Zach Eflin and some other guys, like they're coming up, like Vince Velasquez, like they're all coming up, but they all had above 4 ERAs last season. So while I think that they're good young pieces, I just don't necessarily know if I trust the rotation more than, and I know the Braves rotation's kind of iffy with some injuries, but I actually trust the Braves rotation a little bit more, definitely the Nationals rotation, and even the Mets rotation a little bit more than I do, even though Aaron Nola is probably one of my most underrated pitchers in the league. I still don't know if I can trust the rest of that because they all had above 4 ERAs last year, besides Nola.
Yeah, I think their starting rotation is definitely a question mark, but I just don't know if that lineup's going to gel fast enough to, if the Braves, somebody starts running away with it, and the Phillies get off to a slow start. I just don't know if they can rebound. They got to get off to a quick start.
Before we hit the ground running on the playoffs here, I'll wrap that up by saying I think the lineup is actually, is definitely really, really good. I think McCutchen is poised for a really good year. Look what he did with the Yankees down the stretch last year. He was really, really good on the on-base percentage. You put him up top. You have Gene Segura, who's really good. Like I do really like this lineup a lot. I just kind of left them out because I felt like the rest of that division, like that, I thought the Nationals are the most complete team. And for whatever reason, like you, I just kind of felt the Braves are this team from last year that got better, not worse. Like I feel like they were like the Yankees in the sense of they didn't really subtract anything. Like they added Donaldson, they added McCann, they didn't really subtract much. Maybe they lost Anibal Sanchez, but I don't think that's like the end of the world. So I think overall that's why I kind of like the Braves are the same team. I think that they only got better, not worse. And you could say obviously the Phillies got better for sure, but I just couldn't take the Braves out.
I actually love the Braves.
I mean, I took them out of the playoffs because I have them coming. Let me rephrase that before I let you go. Sorry, I took the Braves out of the playoffs. They're not my playoffs, but I have them in second place above the Phillies.
That's fair. I know. That's absolutely. I mean, let's be honest. The American League is more set in stone, I would say, compared to the National League. The National League is kind of like a coin flip.
Oh yeah, definitely. The same thing happened last year. The American League was the best. But it wasn't because the reason why they were the best because it really wasn't that competitive. You had the top 3: Yankees, Red Sox, and Astros. Not necessarily in that order, obviously, but they were like set in stone as the best. And then the Indians ran away with the Central. The National League was just more competitive, and so And then this year, I don't know. I think that the National League is better than the American League overall, but the best teams might be in the American League. And that being said, let's move into our playoff predictions. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. So in the American League the American League Championship Series, the ALCS, I actually have the Astros being the best team overall. So they would have to face the Red Sox after the Red Sox beat the Rays in the wild card game. I have the Yankees beating the Indians and the Astros losing to the Red Sox. And the Yankees, Red Sox, ALCS for the first time since, 2004? And the Yankees winning that to get to the World Series in the American League.
Oh, I like it. I'm not going to go that deep, but I like that. I got Yankees, Astros in the ALCS. Yankees winning 5.
All right. National League, since I was so detailed in the American League, I'll stick to that. In the National League, here's what I will go with in the National League. I will say that the Dodgers get back to the CS. I'll say... Who are my teams? So I have Cardinals, Rockies. Cardinals win that. The number 1 overall team will be the Nationals. The Nationals will beat the Cardinals. Dodgers will beat the Cubs. And then the Nationals will beat... This might be the 3rd straight year I have Yankees Nationals. And maybe, if you keep picking the same thing, maybe it'll happen eventually. I have the Nationals.
I got Cardinals, Dodgers. Cardinals win in 6.
Okay.
So I'm thinking Cardinals. Upset.
I think it'd be interesting if the Dodgers got back and they all of a sudden become the Bills of the 90s in the baseball terms and then lose to a different team. And this time it'd be the Yankees and then the Yankees back-to-back like the Cowboys did the last 2 years. And it'd be the same division winning one. I mean, it's a little bit different, but kind of similar. We both have the Yankees winning the World Series. That's crazy. Who would have thought? Who would have thought the Yankees?
Cardinals, Yankees in 6, maybe.
Who would have thought the Yankee fans would have the Yankees winning the World Series?
I actually think if they don't win this year, heads are going to roll.
I mean, here's the thing. I could pick the Yankees are going to be good enough that I could legitimately pick them with legitimate reasons for the next, maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but the next 7 to 10 years. That's how young the core is. The problem is, are they ever going to win one? And I think this has to be the year. I think, like you said, 6 games in the division. I think that this is the year they could run away with it because the bullpen's that iffy for the Red Sox. The problem is they have a really good lineup and the best rotation in the division. So that's where I kind of lose it. But I feel like the Yankees have such a good schedule to start that they can hop off to at the beginning of the year.
They got to get off to a hot start. That's all I have to say.
And that's how the Red Sox came in first place last year. They got off to a really good start and they never looked back. I mean, that's just kind of what happened. And the Yankees do the same thing.
Opening up with Baltimore is huge. They need to get off to a good start.
3-game sweep. All right, so let's wrap this thing up here and go to our awards. We'll do this relatively quick. You already said Aaron Judge and Verlander, so you kind of let those out of the bag. We don't have to go over those for you. And if you want to say anything else about Verlander, we already know you have Judge hitting 167 RBIs.
I just think Verlander wins 20-plus again.
Yeah, you say
40-plus Ks.
You say 21-4 with a 2.67 ERA and 245 Ks. That's a good year.
That's a legit solid year.
Oh, no doubt. I'm going with Chris Sale. I think that he's going to pitch the entire season, and I think that he's by far the best pitcher in the American League when he's pitching the entire year. And if he gets 300 Ks again, I think he'll win the Cy Young.
I think it's possible.
It's just injury concerns, but I'm going to roll with him. My MVP, though, I'm going with Jose Ramirez. I feel like he's kind of off the board a little bit. I know he just got carted off the field, and I don't know if he's going to be ready for today's game for opening day. And Tito Francona said that he should be ready, but I'm going with Jose Ramirez because I feel like he was kind of forgotten last year, and I think that he can do the same thing and maybe get the recognition this year. I think the chalk pick would be Trout or Betts, but I'm going to go with Jose Ramirez and be kind of different here, and I'll be different in the National League too, trust me. But I just like the opportunity that he has to put together another like a 30 season, 30 home runs, maybe 30 stolen bases if he plays enough. That's just how good he is, and I think that was overlooked, and this may be a guy who never wins an MVP because he keeps getting overlooked and overshadowed by guys like Betts and Trout. But I think overall, if Betts' average drops a little bit, I think that Ramirez might get more look.
I think it's legit. The guy can play. I mean, he's good. There's no argument there. I won't argue with there. I don't know. It's all about health, and I think with Frankie Lindor out for the foreseeable future, I don't think that's helping his case any.
So you went all right. So let's go to the American League Rookie of the Year. You went a Toronto Blue Jays player, and it's not the one a lot of people are thinking. Explain why you went, unless you changed it. Explain why you went with the pick that you went with.
I couldn't really find. It was tough because.
I mean, you have Vlad. So basically,
I want to go Vlad Guerrero Jr., but I don't know if he's going to get enough playing time up there to win Rookie of the Year. I could be wrong.
I mean, look at if Mike Fulmer was not up for as long as he was, Gary Sanchez would have run away with that award, only playing like 2 months.
Yeah.
Just put that in perspective, though. I'm just saying, like if Mike Fulmer was not up since May and had a really good year, Sanchez would have won that with only 2 months of baseball. So look at that as you will. Basically, my point is, if Danny Jansen's up the entire season, but Vlad comes up and only plays 2 months and mashes, he'll probably still win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Eloy Jimenez is my pick, and I want to go with Vlad Jr. too, but I'm going to go with Eloy Jimenez because he's most likely going to be up for the entire year. And he just signed that massive long-term contract. He has no injury stigma like Vlad has. So I'm going to go with the guy who I know is definitely going to get playing time and has a lot of potential and also a good enough bat, and Eloy Jimenez of the Chicago White Sox.
That's legit. I mean, it's tough because it's tough because you can say, oh, yes, I really like so-and-so, and they can come up and be an absolute bust, no matter how good they play in the minors. So anything's possible.
You're not wrong, but these are two of the can't-miss guys, and I really do think that they're like Acuna and Soto from last year, for sure.
Oh, I hope they tear it up. I want them to tear it up. I love watching the kids tear it up. It's fun. Especially getting more fun now that, guys that we watch grow up with their kids coming up, which is...
Yeah, there's a lot. You have Dante Bichette's kid over there too, and Bo Bichette. There's a lot. There's a lot of young kids. You have Biggio's kid over there. Toronto has a lot of kids. Let's go to National League MVP. I think you mentioned this guy once before.
Goldschmidt.
Yeah, you're going Goldschmidt. Here, I have a weird one. This is one that I feel like is getting absolute. If Jose Ramirez is getting little traction, this guy's getting, I feel like zero traction in the National League. But I'm going to go with it anyway.
Puig.
You say Puig?
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice. I would actually admire that pick. I would think that's actually a bold but actually accurate pick. He can have a really big year now in Cincinnati, and I think they're going to be a good team this year for sure. But I'm going with Javier Baez. I think the Cubs are going to be a better team this year, and I think that if Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant can get – I mean, Rizzo was still fine last year. Bryant had a little bit down year because of injuries and whatnot. But if they can get better and Baez can slot in between them or around them, I think his numbers will go up a little bit. I think they might have one of the best records in the National League. That will help that too. And I feel like a guy who doesn't walk probably will never win this award. But I just feel like he could have 40 home runs, 20 stolen bases, and hit 300 even though he doesn't walk at all. But at the same time, that's a bold prediction. There's no guarantee that happens. Of course, there's no guarantee for anything, but I just feel like that's something that no one's really predicting, but I'm going to go with it anyway. That's just what I went with.
Well, let's put it this way. Strangest things happen, right? I mean,
True.
The curse of the Bambino got broken.
True. Let's go back to this podcast when Javier Baez wins it, and I'm like, you know what? And then when Judge has 167 RBIs, and then you'll get the credit, and I'll get the credit. So
how funny would it be if he actually drove in 167 this year?
It would be hilarious, and it'd be awesome.
Oh, I don't actually see it happening without.
No way. But I'm glad that you predicted it. Second to last, penultimate pick, Cy Young for the National League.
I gotta go Scherzer. Guy's too good. He doesn't show any signs of pulling up anytime soon. I think he wins another Cy Young. He's the best pitcher in the National League, hands down. It's not even close.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong here, and I feel like I had the pick in my mind. I did this a couple days ago. I didn't write them down anywhere like you did, which is very smart on your part. And I'm trying to think if I had a different pitcher other than Scherzer. I feel like Scherzer, and I obviously it's not. If I went with anyone else, it'd probably be Aaron Nola of the Phillies. Obviously, there's the Mets guy, but the Mets guys have a chance too. Go ahead.
I think Nola's got a chance. DeGrom obviously got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Syndergaard probably will rebound with a huge year, but I think Scherzer's just too good. Like, I don't know.
All right, I remember my pick. It's bad when you can't remember your pick, right, Mike?
What is it, Steven Matz?
It's not Steven Matz. Get out of here. It's from the Cardinals. It's Jack Flaherty. I think Flaherty's going to take a massive step forward this year. He'll be a top 5 pitcher in the National League. And if this team is a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination in that division, and he's striking out 250 like I think that he can this season, I'm going to go, and then the ERA obviously needs to be good, but I'm going to go Jack Flaherty. I think that's an underrated pick. I think that people are a lot of hyped on him, but I'm going to go far enough to say he's going to win the Cy Young in the National League.
That's legit.
It's thinking out of the box. I feel like people that go chalk, while they're probably the smart people, and to do that, I never liked going chalk. I mean, I'll pick Trout at some point again as my preseason pick at some point, maybe. But I think it's fun to go with some of the other guys that you think that can do good. But at the same time, Scherzer's the right pick because Scherzer's probably the favorite. So I commend you more than me. I'm an idiot, but we'll see. We'll see how Flaherty does. Rookie of the year. What? Go ahead.
I just wanted to go on a limb a little bit, have a little fun. We're having fun. It's all about fun.
Yeah, and I think that's all this is all about. That's all what sports radio is talking about. Last but not least, we're going with the Rookie of the Year in the National League. And look, we've been different on all these, which is cool. I think that's good that we've been different on all these. Will we be different here? I'm going to go. No, you go first. I feel like you have more of the chalk pick.
I literally made this decision only on the sheer fact that he made the roster. I'm going Fernando Tatis Jr.
I feel like that's the top pick at this point, at this hour, because he made the roster. They were expecting Luis Urias to be. It's an interesting decision because Urias was also a prospect, and he's got service time things that could happen. So I feel like the manager was like, well, if we're going to waste service time for Urias, why would we not do it for our best prospect? And that makes sense. It just was unexpected. So, Tatis Jr. is going to be in the major leagues to start the season, batting behind or around the area of Machado now in a really good lineup. That's a really deep lineup. It really is, Mike. So I think that's the right pick here.
I honestly think the Padres want to win now, and I think leaving Tatis up there is, proves that they want to win now. Huh.
Yep, and that being said, even though that's a really good pick, I'm going to go with Victor Robles of my National League winning champions prediction. Nationals. I'm going to go with Robles. I think that he's for sure locked into a center field role there too, so he's getting a day one start. He's coming off an injury. He's coming, and he's got someone to prove that. Look, I was the number one prospect here in Washington. It'll be a little friendly rivalry between him and Juan Soto because he kind of likes something to prove. Now that Soto's kind of coming in and take the attention, I think he's going to steal a lot of bases this year, along with Trey Turner. I know he. So here's the difference. I think Tatis will probably hit more towards the top of the order, while Robles is going to hit ninth. But I think that kind of bodes well for him to score a lot of runs. So I like Victor Robles to overall win this award.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm glad that we differed on everything on the awards on the award front. I think it's good. I'd rather Judge win it over Jose Ramirez, so I hope you're right there. But overall, I hope we're out of everything. I hope we're right on a World Series prediction for sure.
I think I'm still a little sour over Judge not winning it 2 years ago.
Yeah, not to go on the tangent again on this podcast. We're at the end here, so if you want to tune out now, if you're a Red Sox fan or something like that and want to not listen to a bunch of Yankee fans talk about how Judge should have won MVP, I agree with you. You look at that year, Mike. Jose Altuve. This is the same thing that kind of happened with. Remember how I mentioned Goldschmidt losing in 2013 to McCutchen? It's the same thing. It's a guy who was on the best team in baseball, in Altuve, who only has a better average. Even though didn't Judge still hit around 300 that year?
280 something, I think.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't quite 300, but basically had a better average and more stolen bases, and everything else went to Judge, including runs scored. You put that in perspective. I get he's stealing bases, but if Judge is still scoring more runs, where's the beef? Like, somebody's got to get there. So I agree with you that the Judge probably should have won, but I have no problem with Altuve winning it at the same time. Make sense?
Yeah.
But Judge should have won.
I was just kidding. He hit 284.
284, and then he had way more home runs than Altuve, way more RBIs, even more runs scored, and it basically was just average, which is still important, but Judge still scored more runs. And if we're not talking about an Astros team that didn't score runs, that's one of the better offenses. So the fact that Judge, even though the Yankees had a good offense too, that scored more runs, I don't know. I just feel like that was overlooked. I feel like people were like, "Oh, well, he gets on base," and but Judge also gets on base at a really high clip with walking. I think he probably had a 400 on base that year. And he scored more runs. I keep going back to that. I know it's stupid, but I feel like their thing was, well, Altuve gets on base and scores a lot of runs. That's why he's more valuable than Judge. But Judge scored more runs. All right, I'm done. That's the end of my. That's the end of my.
Judge out of the lineup that year, the Yankees aren't even competitive.
What's that?
If you take Judge out of the lineup, they don't even beat that year. There's no way.
It's probably true. But you could also say something similar about Altuve for sure. I mean, Altuve was a really good.
They both had ridiculous years. They won't take that away from Altuve.
Because I think we think about that year that Alex Bregman was great, but he wasn't. He wasn't what Bregman is now. So that lineup was basically Altuve, Correa, and Springer, and then sprinkled in other players. From what I remember, if I'm thinking correctly. So he just like McCutchen was warranted in 13. I still think that Goldschmidt in 13 and then Judge in 17, right? Deserved it over those two, even though. That's what the writers do, man. They vote for guys who have the best record and the best player on the best team sometimes over guys who have the overall better power numbers per se. It is what it is. I mean, Mookie Betts won it last year and he had 330. Like he was, but he had also JD wasn't even in the top 3, right? Or was he?
He wasn't.
He was in the top 3. Okay.
It's not. He should have been top 3.
No, I'm pretty sure the top 3 was Trout, Betts, and Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
So someone like JD, who led the league in home runs, I believe, led the league in RBIs, and average was definitely nothing to stick at. I think he was over 300. They don't value stuff like that as much as they do Mookie Betts, who, he definitely deserved MVP in his own right. And he had the best average by far in the American League. I'm just saying they don't value the J.D. Martinez and to some extent the Aaron Judge seasons, which kind of bodes against Judge in MVP vote. For whatever reason, Mike, it's just kind of how it is. They want the Trouts and the Betts.
As much as I hate the Red Sox, Mookie Betts is fun to watch. That team is fun to watch. I just hate playing them.
Mike, I did my fantasy baseball draft, and I ended up with 2 Red Sox and no Yankees, and now I was barfing all night.
Oh, I think I need to end this podcast.
Well, I mean, I might have jinxed a Yankee if I took him, so it's probably for the best.
Anyways.
Yes, anyways, that means it's time to wrap up. Mike, we've been pretty long here. I think it's good to have you back on the podcast, and we hope to get you back in the studio soon, man.
Hopefully, brother, man. I miss it. It's been rough.
Yeah.
It's not been a good week and a half.
For sure. And I've kind of been ending the podcast is different since you've left, and you want to hear it, or do you want to say your thing first?
I'll say my thing first. Cap Region, stay classy. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at MikeJames1045. Follow us on Twitter at Sportside, please. Eric.
At Eric H1045. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the Sittin Sportside podcast. I'm Eric Hammond for Mike James. I appreciate you listening to this podcast. Thank you for Sittin Sportside on 1045theteam.com.